Hi divers, my name is Ben, and in this video I share with you my top 5 tips how I became a much better scuba diver and how you can become a better scuba diver too. This is the first video of a whole series, so make sure to watch the whole playlist and subscribe to this channel and miss no new videos in this series. Coming up. I started diving in 1997 at an age of 12. By the age of 18, I was already instructor for CMAS. After school, I worked some time as a full-time instructor for a PADI and CMAS dive center in the Mediterranean, and I started trimix diving without any class at that time. I became instructor trainer for different CMAS associations, and after more than 2,000 dives, I was pretty confident that I nailed it and that I was a really good scuba diver. When I decided to dig deeper into technical and cave diving, I came across Global Underwater Explorers, or GUE, and decided to become a GUE diver at that time. However, I was a bit held back by the fact that GUE wanted me to take a fundamentals class first before I could take any trimix or cave classes. I asked myself why I, as a highly decorated instructor and instructor trainer, should take a silly beginner's class. A bit contrite, I still agreed, and what can I say? It was the best class I ever took. And even I was an instructor trainer with more than 2,000 dives, I became a much better diver after this class, and I discovered what I missed in all my past scuba training. This was the day I decided to become GUE instructor and share this knowledge. That was around 2008. 7 years later, I finally became instructor for the GUE Fundamentals program. Today, I'm an active GUE instructor for different programs, and I decided to create this video series for scuba divers who want to improve their scuba diving and for students that actually booked a class with me or any other GUE instructor and wanted to know how they can be best prepared for the class, because almost all the students ask me prior to the class what equipment they should buy, what skills they should train, and what dives they should do to prepare for their class. These questions are going to be answered in this and the upcoming videos of this series. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you have specific questions about GUE or the Fundamentals program, please leave a question in the comments. I'm going to answer your questions in the next videos. So why I'm telling you all this? The reason is that in my Fundamentals class with GUE, I learned 4 points that in my opinion are really important to be a better scuba diver. So what are these points? Number 1, improve your stability in the water. This is the most important point and the most important skill to master. In many beginners classes, students learn to perform a lot of skills just kneeling on the ground. But be honest, if you're diving for real and you have to clear your mask, share gas with a buddy or set an SMB, can you kneel down on the ground? In 99% of the cases not, because on the ground or coral it's very silty, or you're diving a wall and there is just no ground to kneel on. So why are so many divers taught these skills kneeling instead of being really stable in the water column? The answer is that teaching stability, meaning a rock solid trim and buoyancy without drifting in any direction, takes a lot of time. Many instructors are not willing to invest this time because in the diving industry, time is money. As a result, they teach skills like clearing a mask or sharing gas just kneeling on the ground. One martial arts wisdom is you do what you train for. Performing these skills on a real dive, where you can't kneel on the ground, is then really complicated. Moreover, being not stable may be a threat for your and your body's safety. Imagine you need to share gas and do an ascent from, let's say, 30 meters. If both of you are not stable and can't control your ascent speed or bump into each other all the time because you're drifting, this easy situation gets really complicated and can eventually lead to team separation, putting the out-of-gas diver into a potentially life-threatening situation. Every skill and every exercise in the water column is ultimately based on good trim and buoyancy. Hence, you should master this first of all. This is easier said than done, and without proper instruction and feedback by an experienced instructor, it's even harder to learn. The first years being instructor, I gave students feedback on their trim and buoyancy, but had no idea how to fix bad trim and bad buoyancy if they couldn't get it. I just advised them to train it without telling students how to train. But telling you your trim is crap doesn't help you. As an instructor, I need to show you a solution for your problem. That's one thing we cover in the Fundamentals class, and to be honest, learning this in my Fundamentals class back these days improved my personal diving and my teaching as an instructor at that time so much. Number 2, learn standardized procedures. Learn standardized procedures. Where things can go ultimately wrong, like in aviation or nuclear power plants, procedures are always standardized. Standardization of procedures among your dive team members helps to make your dive safer, because if something goes wrong, you already have a plan in your mind to solve the problem, and that's the best thing, everyone with you has the same plan. In GUE, we standardize procedures not only across our dive teams, but across the whole organization. This is extremely powerful when conducting international projects like research projects, because everyone is already on the same path. Everyone has the same plan in their heads. The standardized procedures is another thing we teach during the Fundamentals class, which helps you to get the most out of your dives and helps you to make your diving much safer. Number 3, use standardized equipment. There are hundreds of different equipment manufacturers that create many different types of diving equipment. First of all, it makes absolutely sense to use the same equipment across your dive team. In GUE, we do not only standardize procedures across the entire organization, but also standardize equipment across the entire organization. That doesn't mean we all dive equipment made by the same manufacturer, but equipment that meets the same GUE equipment guidelines. Diving standardized equipment is so powerful because you don't have to get familiar with your buddy's equipment every time you go diving. You already know how it works, how the regulators are configured, and where the dump valves are, for instance. That makes teamwork extremely easy and streamlined. Speaking of streamlined, your equipment should be really streamlined. Take only what you really need for a dive. Don't have anything hanging and dangling around. Don't be a scuba diver's Christmas tree. Use what we call a balanced rig, meaning to have the right amount of weight. Have your weight distributed correctly across your body to reinforce good trim and overall stability. All these topics are also covered in the GUE Fundamentals class. In the upcoming videos of this series, I'm going to explain exactly what equipment you'll need for your GUE Fundamentals course. Number 4. Plan your dive. That's something told in most beginners classes. However, in my experience, it's mostly not more than an empty phrase. Because at least in recreational diving outside classes, there's not much planning involved for most divers. Before I started with GUE, most of the dive planning was something like we turn around at 100 bars and come up with 50 bars. Done. That's no proper planning and does not really help you to understand the dive and where you are in the dive. Even more, it can be a safety issue. One easy example. Taking always 50 bar of reserve and calling that a dive plan is like always taking 10% of the gas tank in your car as a reserve without knowing how big the tank is, what the consumption of your car is, and how far it is to the next gas station. In the GUE Fundamentals class, we teach you easy to remember tools to actually really plan your dive. In my opinion, and in my personal experience, taking a GUE Fundamentals class is the best and fastest way to become a better scuba diver. The GUE Fundamentals class is usually conducted over 4 consecutive days and covers the aforementioned points and even some more. You can find some more information by clicking the links in the description below. This video was only the introduction to the complete series about how to prepare best for the GUE Fundamentals class. In the upcoming videos, I'm going to talk about the question if the Fundamentals class is right for you, about the best time point to take the class in your diving career, but also about the equipment you're going to use or you need to buy for the GUE Fundamentals class, and about what you should train in advance and how you can improve further after the class. So if you're thinking of taking a GUE Fundamentals class, or if you already booked a GUE Fundamentals class with me or any other GUE instructor, make sure to subscribe to my channel and watch the rest of the playlist, because this is going to be really valuable content for you. See you there.